Part of our 2023 North Dakota State softball preview on the Class B side. Joining us now from the Kindred-Richland Vikings, their head coach is Sam Brandt. And Sam, before we talk about the matchups and what state's going to have to offer up in Minot, let's just kind of recap the Region 1 tournament for your club, your girls. What did you like in Kindred hosting the event, number one, but number two, able to come out on top with the Region 1 tournament title as well, Sam?
I had to tell you, just hosting it and being there, one, it's a lot of work, but man, it was worth it. It was sweet winning at home. These kids have worked hard all year, and we just didn't quite get over the hump. You know, we saw some very adverse games. We had some really, really close games, really good competition. And for whatever reason, that one run just got us, and we were on the losing side. So I really feel like that was part of the journey leading up to our region tournament that really pushed us, that knowing that we can play really well, we can hang, we can put runs up, we could put 5-7 runs up in an inning, you know. So this was the first time in the season, and I felt like the season was so short this year, but they had that confidence, the swag, the attitude in the box, just excited to be at home and excited to play. So it was a fun tournament.
And then as you saw the matchups, the pairings that came out for the State B softball tournament, then Sam, I always like to ask coaches this because some years it's okay, it's this team's tournament to lose and everybody else. Some years it's literally there's 8 teams, you never know. Other years in spring, because the weather has been so crummy, you might not get a lot of non-region or West versus East games. So with all that being said, how do you view this year's state tournament field of 8 going into it, Sam?
I think it's really exciting. It's a little different. It's a little different than it's been in the past. And I think there's going to be some surprises. I really do. So it's really fun knowing that we get to go out to Minot, we get to make the trip. We're playing on turf outside, you know, but I think the pairings are really, really good. And I think this first round, there's going to be up and downs with games, but I think there's going to be some really close ones this tournament.
How much have you been able to learn about your opponent, Central McLean? I know there's the midseason madness where you get a lot of teams coming in, Class A, Class B. That, like anything else, was a little rain shortened at particular times. But how much from a coaching point of view, I know you talk about it's all about us. We worry about what we can control as much as possible. But when you're looking at a batting order or wanting to know, okay, what is the pitcher going to throw or what she can do on the opposition, how much can you find in the softball landscape from a team that you maybe don't really play too often?
Yeah. You know me too well if you know that's my answer. We've done this a lot. You know, I've done some research, and you always try to do as much research as you can and reach out to as many coaches as you can. You know, the biggest thing is we lost to Velva when they came to us. We kind of had a quick throw together and hosted some teams in Kindred. And Velva lost to him twice in the region tournament. So, you know, I talked to the girls. I said, it really, when we get to that state tournament, everybody's back at 0-0. Anything that happened in the past, the games that you've done, you know, the games that you played and games that you won and lost doesn't really, really matter. We've seen crazy things happen in really wild end of the year tournaments at all levels. So for us, we know that their pitcher's really, really athletic. She's one of their best hitters. From there, that's about all I know. And like I said, you know me really, really well. It's one of those things that we still need to come to play to our level. We need to control what we have control over. We need to hit. If we hit, we win. Our defense has always been one of our strengths in the season, and it hasn't changed throughout the year. So as long as we can put the ball in play, have some confidence, I feel like we have a really, really solid chance this first round.
Let's talk about some of your all-region players here that got nominated with Danica, Leah, and Avery. Just those 3 here, Sam. And last year, Maddie Burchell was a lone senior. There's only 2 seniors this year, so there is a lot of youth, but then there's also a lot of experience as sophomores, freshmen, and juniors on your roster that you had coming into this season. But with Danica, Leah, and Avery, what have they meant to the program this year?
You know, they're huge. You know, Danica on the mound with that confidence and be able to throw the ball consistently and changing speeds and spins this year has been great. Avery has been my like rock this year. You know, she's got such a solid glove. You know, I feel like on the field, she's so natural. She looks like a softball player. She moves like a softball player. Her IQ is so high. And Leah's the energy. When Leah's on, we're on. When Leah's excited and happy and in good mood, we're happy. But it also works the other way. So she makes us go, and she's the engine, and she's the vibrancy. and she's one of our best hitters, but it all comes together, as a team, without having the confidence, putting runs on the board. It's confident for a pitcher to go out there and play their game the way they want without it being 0-0, and it's an individual sport with 9 girls in different positions. So all of them having their backs and the way they communicate, and as much fun as they have this year, it's really, really, really rewarding for me to watch it. You saw us at the region tournament. Line dancing is a thing. We like to do this. We like to have some fun. So these kids love this game and show up and just want to play for each other. So it's been really, really great.
Yeah, with that Region 1 championship game, knowing both teams made it to state, Jake and myself, my broadcast partner, said, this is a big game. Both teams want to win a region tournament, but you can tell that the fact that you're going to state, it almost had that all-star kind of vibe a little bit to it. And then once the first pitch came through, then yes, it was business by any means. And 2 other players, one that I saw hit a softball over the scoreboard against a Northern Cass, Mackenzie Fuchsa, and then Miss Mauk as well. What do those 2 players bring to this year's squad?
With Leah and Brea Mauk up the middle, that's a solid middle. And then Fuchsa behind the plate and has been a really, really big bat for us. So, all of those working together, and if they know that they can put in the best work at this time and focus in the moment and play in the moment, their percentages of doing something really great for the team is big, So we like to control what we have control over, and know that sometimes softball is a little bit of luck. And, you could do everything right and still have a solid, great hit to straight to a player, and make an easy play. So we're just excited to go and show exactly what we're made of. You say we don't have a lot of seniors, and we don't. We on our roster, we look young, but I told them this year, you can't be young anymore. You're all juniors. You've been playing since you're 8th graders and freshmen. So most of them have senior experience. So it's been really great to see their growth and all the work they put in the off season. So hopefully it comes into fruition this weekend.
Well, thing for you, Sam. How have you seen the game of softball grow? Going back into it, it was the late 2000s, 09 kind of when it was everybody in one. 2012 was B only. And then obviously like wildfire in the 14, 15, 16 seeing teams evolve, adding a team this year in Region 1. Region 2 has added a number of teams in recent years as well. But how have you seen the game continue to grow in North Dakota from a state B standpoint here, Sam?
Okay, so I got to tell you, this is my 10th year in Kindred, and I've been coaching softball in some type of fashion for 10 years. And when I first got here, when they told me the softball itself had only been around for like 2 years, I grew up in the cities. Like I had to try out when I was 8 years old to play on a team, and I got to play with like 13-year-olds when I was 11. So I have been around it a long time. My mom actually still holds records for pitching back in the 80s. So I was extremely surprised, but over the last 10 years, the growth has been great. You can tell that there's coaches that love the game, that are knowledgeable of the game, and definitely are always learning each year. So it's really fun to see an exciting sport for kids that I really, really think, with like a spring sport has track, you have to be a really, really good athlete to do something really, really great. With softball, it's one of those sports that you can work the skill and not necessarily be the fastest, but really be successful. So these kids having an opportunity to do something that allows them to overcome and then allows them to do something really, really great is in the spring on their own is awesome to see.
Sam, as always, thanks so much for your time and best of luck in the Magic City here for the State B tournament.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hillsboro-Central Valley Borough softball head coach Cory Erickson joins us as they get ready to go to the state tournament, the Class B out of Minot this year. And Cory, I know it's been a whirlwind since that region tournament through the preparations to get ready. Let's start there with that region tournament and go back to it and just through those days to go out and earn that trip to state.
Yeah. Honestly, looking back at that Tuesday, I hardly remember any of it. I remember getting on the bus a little bit and having my cell phone have about 25 new messages on it that I had to get back to. Spent the entire bus trip home responding to people, thanking people. the community, the fellow coaches have been so outstanding in supporting our team throughout the season, and they were so happy for us reaching the state tournament. I Central Cass, I mentioned it a little bit during or after the game. They're such a tough team. Coming into the game, I didn't really have any expectations. I thought we would play hard. I knew that we weren't going to go down without a fight. We played great. We made all the plays that we needed to play. We came up with the big hits that we needed, and just super happy that we gave ourselves a chance to extend our season a little bit and get 3 more guaranteed games.
Well, and getting those games here now, look back at everything that the girls have done. They had the games, they had state track, they've had graduation. Have they been able to take time to appreciate those wins and get ready for this coming week?
I think so. The team's pretty competitive. We had a really good practice last night. This would have been Monday night that we had a good practice. It was a late practice just because of Memorial Day festivities going on. So we practiced from 7 o'clock until about 9 o'clock last night, and we got a lot done. The girls were in a really good mood, had lots of energy. And I think that we needed a couple days off here for state track, graduation, all those things, just to kind of decompress a little bit, because there was such a big drive for the region tournament, preparing for that, giving ourselves the best possible shot to qualify for state. And it was go, go, go. And then we did it. And it was almost like we didn't know what to do with ourselves a little bit. So I think we needed those few days to kind of reflect on things, rest up our muscles, get caught up on sleep a little, because I know, Lord knows, I did not sleep very well the nights after the state tournament. I was still kind of processing everything. So yeah, I think that coming into the tournament here, I think we're in a really good spot where I think we're really focused on what we need to accomplish, but we also are keeping things in perspective, knowing that we've turned around our program so much over the past year. We went from 2-9 to 14-5 right now. A turnaround like that doesn't just happen. All the hard work that we put in the off season is finally kind of paying off, and it's been great to just see the results of that. So we know that the state tournament is just icing on the cake.
Well, I was going to ask you about that turnaround too, or the progress from last year that you made, and from last year to this year, throughout the year, how this team has grown, what's caused that?
A lot of the turnaround with our program, it really started in the off season. It seems like a Disney movie when you think to it. We were 2-9 last year. We're 14-5. I don't want to sound cliche or anything, but I mean, it was really just the girls' determination to not lose again the way that we did last season. It was tough. With our program, the expectation is that we're always going to be competitive. We're always going to be right on the cusp of getting to the state tournament, just because that's kind of the expectation that a bunch of our former players have set with the program. So when we were 2-9 last year, it was just like, well, what's going on? What did we do wrong? So we just went back to the drawing board. We said we need to fix these things. The girls worked on it. The girls fixed it. And here we are a year later having a much better season. So, I really can't say enough about the work that they put into it.
Getting back to the state tournament, this year's seniors would have experienced that as 8th graders if they were on the team at that point. So what are they, or what are you looking forward to for them in this state tournament experience?
So we only have 3 players from our 24 that we're bringing out to state that have been to a state, have qualified for state softball before for the spring. We've competed in the summer state tournament, but it's a different atmosphere. You don't have the radio crews, the TV crews. You don't have the interviews like I'm doing right now. You don't have all that stuff, all of that, fanfare around it. So trying to keep them grounded is kind of the biggest thing for a bunch of our new kids. But luckily, Serena Closey, our senior, Ellie Weiss, our senior, and then Kate Onis, one of our juniors. They're 3 of our starters. They were all on that 2019 team that went out to state, and we took 4th out there. We almost made it to the championship game. They're the ones that, emotionally are going to be really big leaders for us, just having been there before. And but there's so much excitement for all the younger girls that I don't want to suppress that. I want them to enjoy this. There's only so many firsts that you get as an athlete. This is a first for a lot of our kids, and that's something really special.
Well, and to go out there now, you're looking at your first game there as the number 4 seed taking on the 5 seed Mayport CG, and a really fresh matchup between you two.
Yeah, you kind of shake it seems like every single time that us and Mayport CG are out at state, we face each other. In 2017, we both made it there, and we faced each other in the last game out there. We always kind of laugh at, we have to travel 4 hours or however many hours to play a team that's 15 miles away. So a very familiar team, very well coached team, very athletic team over there with Mayport CG. And we just played them 2 weeks ago, somewhere around there. Maybe it was a little bit more than 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm losing track. I think it might have been 3 weeks ago, actually, now that I think about it. But they didn't have Riley Satcham pitching for them in that game. She was out with an injury, so she's back now. We know that we'll be facing her. She'll be pitching in the circle for them. That moves around their defense a little bit, so they're going to be a little bit stronger defensively than what they were when we played them a few weeks ago. But I was also gone. I had some personal things I had to go attend to for that game. And Serena wasn't pitching her best that game. She had in a little bit of a funk there heading into regionals. So, we like where we're sitting at right now as a team. We have some things that we're gonna try that we didn't try last time, and we feel pretty prepared coming into that game. Again, as I mentioned before, we really want to win that game. We want to get into that winner's half of the bracket, make sure we're playing the later games, make sure we're giving ourselves a chance to finish in the top 4 at the state tournament. But win or lose, I don't want anything to take anything away from the season that we've had. So we're happy to be there. We're young, we're determined to push as far as we can, but we also are keeping things in perspective that, this has been a mind-blowing season for a lot of these kids, something that they've never experienced before, and we just want to ride the high of that for as long as we can.
Well, keep riding it. Enjoy the experience. Congratulations to you and the Borough team, assistant coaches, everyone involved with the program as well. Like you said, with the 25 messages waiting for you, there's a lot of support there, and that's always great to see for the program too. So appreciate the time and look forward to seeing you out there in Minot.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Jake.
2023 North Dakota State Class B tournament preview here, as it's the state baseball tournament going on in Minot this Thursday through Saturday. Joining us now is the Region 1 champ head coach. That is Dustin Massjo here from Central Cass. And Dustin, before we talk about the state tournament, what do you think of this? The 8 teams that are all making their way to the Magic City. Let's recap a Region 1, a 3 seed coming in. You found ways to get the job done in the couple days in Enderlin. Same thing, you were able to very, very close and competitive contest with Kindred-Richland before you were able to put up a crooked number there late in that Region 1 championship. What did you see from your team during the Region 1 tournament here, Dustin?
It was different than the regular season. It's almost like we flipped a switch. One of our practices, we met at the pitcher mound, and we talked about what is pitching and how that ties into defense and everything. And I think some of the guys were like, yeah, I guess I don't have to do it all on my own and things. And for pitchers, you don't have to do it on your own. And when we talked about that, it kind of brought us together a little bit more, I felt like, and we played better as a team going into the region tournament. We picked each other up. A strikeout here didn't end the inning. Even if that was a second out, we had a guy that would come up and get a big hit or something like that. So I think, it was, like I said, we've kind of flipped a switch once we got done with the regular season and into the region tournament.
And every year's a little bit different too for you, Dustin, as you know, whether it's injuries, maybe you have multi-sport athletes with guys in golf, guys in track and field. Every year's a little bit different, but take us through some of the traits that you've seen from your team that has allowed you to get to where you are again, which is the 3rd consecutive year going to a state tournament.
Quite a bit of turnover from last year's and the year before. We had probably 6 new guys basically, but they've played a lot of baseball. And I think that's the biggest thing, is they didn't get down on themselves. They didn't get too high, too low. They just kind of even keel, and you could see that even in the the Kindred game when it was, we weren't scoring runs and we should have been scoring runs. And in the Northern Cass game, we got down, came back. Just kind of the resilience of the guys. They've done it before. All these guys, say most of these guys have been on state tournament teams before, whether it was Babe Ruth or in high school. So they just don't get too excited and they don't get too down. So it makes it much easier when you're not trying to play with the range of emotions and stuff.
Before we talk about the senior class, let's talk about some of those that were nominated as all Region 1 players. You had Cooper Johnson, Braden Mitchell, and Sam Coppervig as well on that. What did those three guys just bring to this year's team that has allowed you to make the run that you're at right now again, Dustin?
All three are different. So Cooper, starting in the outfield, through a little bit, gets hurt. All he can do is run. He's got hit in the wrist in a game in Thompson, and hasn't played in the field or pitched or anything since, hasn't hardly thrown a ball since. But just his ability to get, once he gets in the game or something on base, he's been our courtesy runner. He's fast. He's a very instinctive base runner. Then you talk about Sam Coppervig. It's his third year starting. So he's the one guy that has been consistently in state tournaments all 3 years. He started at second base his sophomore year, junior year, and now senior year. And he's very confident. He's kind of a quiet confident. I had him bunt one time and it didn't go very well. And then I had him bunt and it went well. And he just said, "Hey, I'll hit for you. I'll hit for you." And then he hit that double against Kindred, and the quiet confidence. But yep, I can do it. I'll do it, coach. And then Braden is he's not a vocal guy, but he's a quiet leader. He expects to do well. He expects to get the base hit. He expects to throw strikes, strike a few guys out here and there and stuff. But, we don't have a lot of vocal guys on our team, but those three are kind of quiet leaders. Like I said, Cooper a little less now with his injury. I mean, he can't get out there and run down a fly ball for you and stuff. But, during most of the season, he was able to do that and on the mound, and just three solid guys right there.
And then for your senior class here, you mentioned maybe a little bit and hinted towards it with some of the all-region players here, Dustin. But what is this senior class meant to this program? I mean, as sophomores and juniors, and you mentioned it now as seniors, they found ways to win region titles. They found ways to be on really good baseball teams and get to state. I know there's maybe some unfinished business for some of these seniors that have been there before, and they want to get to that next round once you get to Minot on Thursday. But what is this senior class? What are some things that you've seen from them during your time in the program?
They love baseball. They're baseball guys. There's seniors, it's their first year varsity too, and just the experience. And we talked about that a little bit yesterday. We're going to talk about it again today. This is an experience that not a lot of people get. And some of you guys have been for 3 years. Some of it's your first time, take it all in. Like I said, they're just baseball guys. They'll ask why did we do this here or something, and I'll tell them, like, okay, yeah, I see, and you don't hear a lot of complaining about stuff from them. They're kind of leaders in that way. They're just good kids. They're good kids, and they understand their role on the team, whether they're a starter or whether they're warming up the left fielder, or the pitcher or whatever between innings. They just all, they mesh well together.
Let's take a look at the state tournament field. Some familiar faces from prior years. Some teams that have been there before, especially with the two that made it to the championship last season with Thompson and Lemoore. Mother Nature again threw a wrench into a lot of non-region games for some more than others here, Dustin. So as you take a look, I know you played Langdon and Thompson in that triangular, two teams that were able to make it to state. But as you look at this state tournament field, is it one team's to lose? Is it, hey, any of these 8 teams can win a game or two and make a run, to a potential championship Saturday night? How do you see the state tournament unfolding?
I think it's just what you just said right there. I think whoever gets hot, I wish we were playing today, carrying over from the region tournament because we were playing well, and now this layover, like everybody's had it. But I think of the 8 teams, anybody has a shot. I don't think there's one clear cut number one overall. I mean, Thompson is the defending champion, so I mean they had my vote for the one. We played them. We lost to them by 1 in 8 innings. We lost to Langdon by 1. Lemoore, we're familiar with them. Some of the guys have been playing there for 3 years and stuff, and we've played them. Very familiar with Des Lacs. We played them last year. They played them in basketball this year too at state. So that of the 8 teams, I mean, 6 of them are back from last year, and we're familiar. We've watched them play last year, and some of them didn't have much turnover. So good teams, good solid teams.
When you see your opponent here, you're the last game of the day on Thursday night. You go up against North Star, a team that has had success, obviously at the high school level as well, making it to state tournaments. I always am interested in baseball coaches' point of view because, football and basketball, you got some game film to watch. You can, kind of take a look a little bit at what they might or might not do. Baseball might be a little bit different of a ball game. If it's a hit and run type of a team, is it small ball? Do they have 1 or 2, dominant arms on the mound? Do they got 1 or 2 big boppers in the lineup? So how much do you do from a scouting report, Dustin, when you saw that the bracket came out, or is it more of a, hey, let's worry about us a little bit. Yeah, we'll try to find what they do, but at the end of the day, we got to worry about ourselves. How do you kind of balance that out during this week?
Well, this is the 3rd time in 3 years at state that we will have played North Star. In 21, we played them. In 22, last year, we played them, and both in the consolation rounds. So, so one of us won't be in the consolation round this year. We're pretty familiar with them. Like I looked at their lineup, their roster and stuff, and 8 of their guys on there I saw played last year. So, they have the Simon twins, good solid players, couple Haglers, one's a freshman, one's a junior. See, we have a lot of juniors on our team and they have a lot of juniors. So it kind of matches up pretty well. I think they have 6 juniors at start. I actually have looked over their roster and I tried to think back to last year's game and stuff. And, Hagler didn't throw against us, but I think both of the Simon brothers might have. And, you don't take a lot from that just because of the fact it was a year ago, but you kind of can tell their style of play and stuff like that. And, Coach Vogt, good guy, talked to him the last 2 years and stuff like that. And saw him at state basketball, talked to him a little bit there and stuff. So, they're a good, solid team, and we will have to play very well to beat them.
Hey, Dustin, as always, thanks so much for your time and best of luck coming up here this weekend in Minot.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Head coach of the Mayport CG Patriots softball team, Keenan Konschak, with us. And coach, first of all, congratulations on making it to the state tournament and your first year with the program as well too. Let's talk about how that year has been, stepping into that lead role and hoping to lead this team onto the state tournament.
Yeah, so obviously I'm brand new to this, so it's been quite the experience. I'm learning a lot. Come from a baseball background mostly, but yeah, these girls have made state 3 years in a row now, so they had that goal right away. That first day of practice, we decided that being region champs was your #1 goal, and making it to the state tournament, accomplishing that goal we talked about in practice the other day was big for them. But yeah, starting off the year, it was learning these players, where they like to play, what are they be able to play at these positions, knowing their arm strengths, knowing who our best pitchers are, who our best catchers are. And, every position was important to find out who's going to give us the best chance to win. So it's a learning process, obviously, but throughout the year, I thought we continued to get better. We had a couple big games this year, played a bunch of great teams, and I think we learned a lot from that competition. So as to where we are right now.
If we can take a quick tangent there, you said you're a baseball guy, and I'm always interested because baseball, softball, a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of nuanced differences as well too. So what's kind of been the biggest adjustments or learning process with that?
Yeah, obviously pitching is a big deal, but at the same time, like you said, it's pretty similar. We're trying to hit spots, we're trying to hit locations, a little bit different movement on those pitches too. Most of the time in baseball, you're going to see curveballs. Well, you don't really see curveballs here. You see rise balls, or you see some drop balls, or change ups. But yeah, some off speed stuff is a little bit different, obviously, but just the quickness of the game. These infielders are playing right in, to cover for the bunts, but the quickness of the ball coming off that bat is if you make a mistake, if you bobble it, you're going to be safe at first base. So I would say that's probably the biggest difference. You got a little bit more time in baseball. It slows down in the infield grass sometimes too. So it's been great though. I think the change from baseball to softball is, like you said, not the greatest, but there's a little bit different. And some of the rules too is what I'm noticing too, like dancing off second base to try and get that pitcher, you're automatically out. You can't be doing that stuff. So a little bit of the rules differences too is something that I found interesting.
Yeah, well, a good thing that you guys didn't make a whole lot of mistakes in that region tournament, as you are the Region 2 champions here. So let's talk about that tournament. What was the success for you guys, especially end of the regular season, dealing with some injuries to get everyone back there going and make their way through that run?
Yeah, it's one of those things too, where I've said it before, where maybe some injuries are kind of a blessing in disguise. We had some other girls step up into some spots. It's always next girl up. We did have some injuries to some big positions, and they stepped up and got some great playing time and used it wisely. Showed me a lot of things, and I think our lineup's pretty set now for going into the state tournament. And it happened mostly those last couple games of the regular season, moving into that region tournament. First 2 games we played pretty well, scored a lot of runs. Our defense was pretty tight, and our pitching was there as well. Obviously, Riley Satcham will be our number 1 pitcher, but Danica Hansen is just right there with her. She stepped in, and beginning of the year she struggled a little bit getting ahead of batters and throwing strikes, but at the end of the year she was on point. And she brought us into that region tournament, got the first 2 wins, and then Riley was healthy enough to come in on that region championship and give us a big boost.
Well, as you prepare for the state tournament now, and again, going back first year, so you haven't been through the state tournament yourself before, what's it like to get everything ready along with everything else that goes on with life over these last couple weeks of May into June?
Oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah, the end of school. Yeah, we've been fortunate. We hadn't got done pretty early, but maybe it was done just last week. And we got a few athletes that are state track too, so that puts it in another perspective too of getting girls to practice. We're very fortunate. We have great facilities too. Like we practiced on Monday night, Memorial Day, and it was raining here, but we got into the arena where we do great. There's 2 batting cages. We can do soft toss. We can do front toss. It's great to have those great facilities. But it's been hectic trying to get all the stats in, get all the information out there. We have great parents here too who have been through it before, so they're helping me out a lot. Our administration's been huge. So assistant coaches, Lori Jaffa. It's all part of this community. So it's been fun. What hectic, obviously.
a good hectic to have.
Yeah.
As you look at your first game, Hillsboro-Central Valley, and played, it was either the last or second last game of the regular season for you guys. Last year's coach for the Patriots is the assistant coach on the Burros. Now some of the girls have played with each other in summer league stuff. A lot of familiarity going into this game. How do you get ready, game plan, going into it then?
Yeah, great point. It was that Thursday right before our region tournament on Saturday, we played Hillsboro, and it's North Dakota weather. That day was freezing cold out. It felt like it was 32 degrees out, windy and rainy. But and then we played that region tournament on that Saturday, and it's like 90. So, but anyways, that Hillsboro game was a great game for us. They pitched their number 1. We had Danica on the mound that game. We played pretty well. We had a nice lead going into that 7th inning, and they kind of came back on us, had a couple of huge hits on. There was one changeup that Danica left out, and the shortstop, I believe for them, knocked it over our shortstop, and got a huge hit with 2 outs. So that was a big game for us. But yeah, I feel pretty confident. We have obviously a scouting report. We know what they try to do, and we have a game plan ready to play too. And I can't give you that because I'd give you guys too much information. We don't want to give out any of your secrets, but yeah, we'll be ready to go. We got a pretty good plan in place.
Well, hey, we'll look to see the secrets unfold then here this week. Keenan, thanks so much. I appreciate the time. Good to chat with you here. We'll look forward to seeing you out there in Minot. And congratulations again, region champions, on to the state tournament, and best of luck out there.
All right. Thanks, man. Thanks for your coverage all year too. It's been great. Thank you guys.
Part of the 2023 North Dakota State Class B baseball preview. Joining us now from the Thompson Tommies, that is head coach Nate Soulis. And Nate, let's recap first Region 2. A couple of crazy games. I know a lot of people are going to talk with you about Mayport CG. One that went extra innings. The first championship game, you fall short, but you come back in the second. I know from a lot of coaches across the region are asking, is there enough pitching left, for crying out loud, when you go extras and you go to a game 2 of a championship series as well? So take us from your point of view. What was everything like at Mayville State for the Region 2 tournament?
Stressful, but it was really fun. And we told the guys, these are games that you that's why you play baseball. That's why you play for Thompson. That's why you play for Mayville. They're a heck of a team, and we knew that going in. And that first semi is always a big one, to get that, and they have to get beaten twice, and we put ourselves in a good spot, being the 1 seed, and then also winning that game. So, pitching, it got thin at the end, for them, especially just having to play that extra game. But it also got thin for us. I mean, we struggled with, we just had to piece something together in that last game, even the first game a little bit too, championship wise. But Reese did a really good job coming into relief in that semi game, and really gave us a chance to win. Just 3 really fun games to be a part of. And we've definitely earned our spot in the state tournament, because they certainly would be a very deserving team to go as well.
And taking a look back, 7 straight trips to state. This program has made it 9 out of the last 10 years. People know what happened last year, up in Fargo at Newman Outdoor Field, winning the state title. When you look at this year's squad, though, so now I was talking with you earlier in the year about guys coming back, those who have maybe were role players who are now part of the everyday lineup. With the experience level coming back, how many guys were able to play at state last year that are back on the roster this year for you here, Soulis?
We have 6. So we had 4 leave. One was a DH. The other 3 are our main arms. So, that was the big question mark coming in. We knew we had talent on the mound. We just didn't know when that talent was going to kind of go off, or really things were going to click. And it happened right away. I mean, that's our strength going into this tournament, is our pitching, and we have a lot of guys that we trust to be able to go out and throw strikes. So I think that's been the biggest key. And we'll talk to them once we get into preparation for, Minot Ryan and just the tournament in general. We'll talk to them about leaning on that experience. So 6 guys playing in a state championship, that's valuable experience, and something that you can't just gain anywhere. So I think they really need to lean on that and not let the moment get too big for them. But I think, we're really going to be excited to get out there and get going. And I think, like you said, we'll lean on those 6 guys that were on that team last year that played consistent innings, and be ready to go.
You take a look, and you mentioned the Lions, who your opponent is, but I looked down at your schedule. You played Shiloh, you played Central Cass, you played Langdon. So you've seen nearly half of the field that eventually made their way to the Magic City here, Nate. How do you hope that experience of in April and May, no doubt about it, like anybody else, was difficult to find games? I know you went into Minnesota, you traveled, you try to find, whether it's one game or get a triangular in and get some innings in for your club. But how does that experience help you out throughout the season once you get to Minot, knowing that you've already played a handful of these teams already?
Yeah, I think we always want to play a tough schedule. It does matter what our record is, but it also, I mean, if you're playing a tough schedule, you feel good about the teams that you've played, and if you've gotten better or not. I feel like because of our tough schedule, that we have played really good teams, we have gotten better. Just with guys getting experience and guys just getting their feet wet and kind of understanding, oh, this is not what I've played in the past, but this is what it's going to be. So figuring that out, it's a very talented field. When I looked at Wednesday night after we won it, and just looking at who had clinched on Tuesday and on Wednesday, my first thought came to mind is anybody can win this thing. I mean, You have 8 really solid teams, and you got to be ready to play 3 games of baseball at your best level, because you're going to get that from everybody else. So the field to me seems loaded, and that anybody can go win it. And that's the fun part. It's good that we've played some of these teams. We're familiar with some of them now. I don't know if we're going to see necessarily their pitcher that we saw when we played them last time. That goes into it too. But the lineup 1 through 9 and the way they play defense, we are familiar with some of those teams, and it's always good.
And how much are you familiar with Bishop Bryan? How much have you heard of him? Is it phone conversations with other coaches? Are you able to get, so to speak, game film? What goes in the process once you officially win a region title and you kind of have that week with maybe some kids going to state track and field? You got graduations for others, open houses for, it's a busy time of the year on top of trying to find some information here, Nate. So what goes into the process of how much are you worrying about yourself and how much are you worrying about your first opponent here in Bishop Bryan coming up on Thursday?
Yeah, I think, for ourselves, I think we just take care of some things that we have to work on. It's tedious things, and a lot of talking. The guys are probably sick of me talking at this point in the year, but just going over a few things and maybe reviewing a couple little details. But at this point in the year, it's a lot about reps, fundamentals, just getting ready to go that way. But scouting wise, baseball's a little bit tougher. Not so much game film as it is. You got spray charts on these guys, or just give me kind of an overall feel. You talk to other coaches in the region, you talk to other coaches that they've played around the state. You make a lot of connections. I know I've made a lot of connections in the past, calling coaches or calling for games because of the weather. So you just reach out and you try to get other people's perspective on how they play the game, and what we can do to take advantage of something that maybe they're not good at, and what can we do to game plan for something that they are talented at. I know Minot Ryan's a very athletic team. They had a couple of really good seniors on that team that we played, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago in the state, in the opener. So, we're familiar with them to an extent. I know that team's probably a little bit different than it was in 2021, but they're very good. They're athletic. They can run around the bases. They base run well. So just trying to game plan for some of that, and telling our pitchers to keep them off first base, so they don't have to worry about any of that base run stuff. But we're kind of into the just beginning the scouting portion of it now. So that's just the general thought of what we think about them.
And then final thing for you here, Soulis, before we let you go, let's talk about the guys that were named on the All Region 2 team. You had 4 of them with Braden, with Thomas, Reese, and Sean, yourself, Coach of the Year as well. I know that's not the end-all be-all at the end of the day. It's finding ways to get to state, once you get to state, to make some noise once you get there. But what do those accolades mean when you have 4 guys that were nominated to the All Region 2 team for you?
Yeah, I think it shows that they put the work in, and they certainly deserve it, throughout the year. And it doesn't just go into March and then I guess into July when summer ball. I mean, these guys are putting in work in the fall, they're putting in the work in the winter. So it's very deserving for them, because it shows that their hard work is paid off. And baseball is a unique sport because, it is a team game, but it also very much is individual. Especially offensive wise and pitching wise to an extent. So we're very proud of those 4, and we lean on them heavily to be leaders, vocally, and as also leading by example. And they've shown they were able to do that this year. And Reese, 3-time All Region selection in his career. And then the other 3, this is their first one. I think Thomas got honorable mention last year, but just 4 really good baseball players and really good kids too.
Hey, Coach Soulis, as always, thanks so much for your time, and best of luck coming up in Minot here on Thursday through Saturday.
Thanks, Chase.
Our 2023 North Dakota State softball preview for Class B. Joining us now from the Thompson Tommies, that is Matt Chandler. And Matt, heading back to state's always a great feeling. You match up with Renville coming up here, Renville County on Thursday morning at 11 a.m. to open things up in the quarterfinals. Before we talk about the Muskrats, let's recap the regular season and the Region 2 softball tournament you had in Thompson. What have you seen from your girls? And like everybody else, didn't get a lot of games in April, but then all of a sudden late April, early May, it was hot and furious getting games in. Matt, what'd you see from your team here, particularly last week in Thompson?
Yeah, you know, I this is my 8th year with the program, and every year I've kind of set the girls with the mindset that we're going to look at the season in 3 phases. Regular season, you know, the last 2 years it's been tough to get games. April's been a wash, and then you're playing 4, 5, 6 times a week in May. Stage 1 is we're going to try to win the region regular season tournament, and then when you get to playoffs, it's 1 day at a time. That first day in our region tournament, it's survive or go home. Our kids battled. We got 3 great senior leaders. I don't think we had 27 indoor practice or something crazy like that, and I didn't see any discouragement. They battled. They asked me a lot when we were going to play games, and I kept reminding them I'm not a weatherman. So, but the attitude, the effort was there all season long, and then going into the region tournament, yeah, they competed.
And the one thing with this team too, you mentioned about the seniors, you have Olivia, who was named the Senior Athlete of the Year, but overall, what have the 3 seniors meant to the Thompson Tommy program and the constant, success that you've had with them in your program here, Matt?
Everything. I mean, Olivia's been a part of the program since she was a 7th grader. I think she took over the catching reins as an 8th grader. Summer Haig and Kirsten Lopez were contributing starters when we were in the state championship 2 years ago. They show up every day. They're great leaders. They do everything I ask of them. You know, when you think about all the buckets and the balls and the bats and the bags that we got to haul every time. And when I was growing up playing baseball, the younger kids did it. That was the expectation. But these 3 girls, they take care of that stuff. And I'm going to definitely miss them. So these last 3 games together, we're going to enjoy it.
So all of a sudden you've found your way at different venues here. You're heading off to Minot against Renville County. I know you didn't play them last year in Fargo, but you were able to see a couple of teams from the West like Beulah, Renville County. You're going to see them again this season as well, Matt. So what's one thing that jumps off the page with the Muskrats here going up that's going to be a challenge from your point of view on Thursday morning?
You know, I look at their pitcher, and she was starting as a 7th grader, and they were out the state tournament. We were in Jamestown, and I was in awe of this young kid throwing smoke. And pretty much that whole team has been intact, and they've gotten better and better and better and better. And we were fortunate enough to actually play them in the midseason madness this year. So they got us, it was 13-12 or 12-11 or something, but it was a great North Dakota high school softball game, competitive, well pitched, well played. They're going to give us everything they got. I mean, their goal is to win a state championship, and whoever plays the cleanest game is going to be successful.
That's kind of what it is about postseason softball, minimize mistakes as as a coach, and just trying to put the ball in play as much as possible. If someone hasn't seen the Thompson Tommies play under your guidance here, Matt, what kind of a team are you? Are you a team that likes to, run the base pass? Some years are you a team for power? What do you like from a coaching point of view? If you can do 1 or 2 things, what represents Thompson Tommy softball?
I have a special group of kids. We can be dynamic. We can bunt. We can steal bases. We don't hit the ball with a lot of power, but we put the ball in play. And we've been really good at advancing runners and scoring position. And then in the circle, we have 2 kids that they're going to throw strikes and give our defense an opportunity to make plays. But a lot of what we do is going to be dictated by the other teams. Over the last few years, you've really seen the development of catchers, which is your running game changes when you got a catcher behind the plate that can throw you out. So everything's kind of predicated on what the defense is going to bring. So thanks to you guys, we can go out and watch film on other teams and see what they got. It helps a lot.
Yeah, and the eastern side of the state again with yourself, with Mayport CG, Kindred-Richland, and Hillsboro-Central Valley. You've seen a little bit of the eastern side and the western side here, Matt. Overall, the state tournament bracket, when you saw the 8 teams going into it, does it feel any different? I know a lot of people are going to say Central Caps first time ever. They're not there. You know, that's obviously a number one, a team that's won multiple state championships. But when you see this state tournament field, how competitive do you see, 1 through 8, so to speak, of all 8 teams heading to Minot?
I think it's anybody's tournament. The years ago it was the East was dominating the state tournaments, and the West has made huge strides. And you look at the rankings now, and 1 and 2 are 2 teams from the West. But ultimately, when you're playing a 3-game tournament, whoever's hot at the right time and whoever plays the 3 cleanest games is going to be successful. And I think it's anybody's tournament. And you look, I think 1 and 2 they definitely deserved it, but when you look at everybody else in the field, they've played each other in competitive games, and yeah, it's wide open.
Taking a look at some of your players here for you, Matt, some of the all-region players as well that joined Olivia as the Senior Athlete of the Year with Sydney Schwab. You have Drew Schwab and also Amaya Workin here. What do those 3 particular players, what have they done for you guys this season to allow you to get back to a state tournament?
Well, Sydney and Drew are 1A and 1B pitching for us the whole year. The last 2 years, it's just been Sydney, Drew, Sydney, Drew, Sydney, Drew, alternating. So it starts there with them throwing strikes and giving us an opportunity to be in ball games. Sydney's our leadoff hitter, Drew's a second hitter, so they're kind of the catalyst to get on base. And got Olivia on the 3-hole to drive them in when they get on base. And then Maya, not the biggest gal, but she's got a little punch, and she finds a way on base. I think going into the region tournament, she only struck out 1 time this year, and we've faced some pretty solid pitching throughout the year. So she's a contact player. Then we followed up with Summer Haig hitting 5-hole, and Kaya Hurst. If we just always have somebody to pick somebody up, and we've done a good job of that.
And you mentioned Kaya too. As much in the game of baseball, we've heard it in softball, be strong up the middle. You already mentioned catcher, obviously have a good pitcher, but when you can have a shortstop that makes plays as well and maybe pick someone up, if you will, in the infield, what has Kaya done for you guys this year?
She's just an athlete. I mean, she could probably play any position on the field. Maybe not pitch, but and she's only a freshman doing it too. So her upside is she's going to have a good career, but she's just so versatile. She's strong. She's athletic. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about her this year.
What's been the one consistent attribute to allow your team? I know Region 2 has grown, obviously, in recent years with some new teams adding some programs. We saw in Region 1 this year, Maple River kind of play a hybrid of JV varsity. So you're getting new programs into the East as well. But what has allowed you consistently, Matt, to be one of the better teams in Region 2 and to get to a state tournament, as we mentioned now, 5 consecutive seasons? What's kind of the secret sauce, if you will?
I would say consistency. We have athletes. We have kids that, they're out making the state tournaments in volleyball, and they're competitive and made a run at the state championship in basketball. We have athletes, which is a huge benefit, number one. But then having that success in other sports, it kind of transfers. They're just competitors. And the 3 seniors that we have, they've been in the program the whole time. They've been on varsity since they were 7th, 8th, 9th graders. So that's been huge to our success. Like, they know what to expect going into the season. They know how we're going to do things. Yeah, I'd say consistency and just having athletes has been very beneficial for us.
Matt, as always, thanks so much for your time, and best of luck coming up here this week. First things first, against Renville County on Thursday morning, and best of luck again in the state tournament.
Thank you, and thank you for all you guys do.